OMIG's involvement in coming involved with situations like what we just dealt with, that just went through rules and everything. I'm just curious, why are you the one that has to bring the recommendation for the policy changes? And moving forward, as other issues become apparent that OMIG discovers and brings recommended changes, why is OMIG the one that's bringing them forward and not DHS himself? And can you talk to that matter and just give me your thoughts on that?
Well, I can tell you why I bring issues forward, and that is when I see problems, that's my role. The statute that created the Office of Medicaid Inspector General actually states that we will recommend and implement changes to the Medicaid manual to combat fraud, waste, and abuse in the Medicaid program. So I'm charged by statute to do that. So that's one of the reasons why I bring these issues forward. I've been before the healthcare task force because about the group psychotherapy issue, I had brought that issue up and had explained the concerns that we had and explained our recommendations to the Stephen Group, to DHS, and so we were requested to come before the healthcare task force to explain those issues. And then the healthcare task force asked us to push forward with those recommendations to make those changes.
And the justification for the changes that you bring is under what's written in the statute, that it either qualifies under the fraud, waste, or abuse criteria, that if you, in your determination as Director of OMIG, identify areas where changes need to be made, you can defend your position coming before us on the basis that any recommendations is going to address one of those three areas. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Ray, would you recognize?
Yes, thank you for coming today. My question is, I guess, Representative Hammer's quite handled that question, which is one that frankly I didn't have that same concern. But I want to ask a specific question because obviously a lot of confusion came out of last week. But I do want to ask, as it relates to, because you've made these recommendations, so you obviously know all the implications of the decision. What of the argument that's been posed that 9/11, 9/11 classification people, I guess they're criminal charges, but they are being held at a facility because we don't have enough state hospitals to house them. What's going to happen to those people? So, because that's the big question to me, because, that one is the one that I really would like to know what the answer is until there is some changes next year. What's going to happen to those people if they can't take care of it?
Certainly, I'm happy to answer that, and that is something that I've been answering through the Public Health Committee, Rules Committee, and then at ALC. So the population that, when we say Act 9/11, these are people that have been declared not guilty by mental disease or defect, and the court has ordered that they be in a facility for protection. And that population of people, if they are receiving services now through Medicaid, and they need group psychotherapy, and it's determined that it's medically necessary, then they would go through that same process to make a request. If they need more than 100 units, which would be 25 sessions, then they would make that request. The facility on their behalf, the provider on their behalf, would make a request through that prior authorization process to receive an extension of those number of units. And so I realize that a lot of legislators have been contacted by a number of lobbyists and by a number of providers. And I know that they are saying that they believe that there will be a problem for their population. I do not believe that is the case. Beacon is reviewing medical necessity for these claims, and they will continue to review medical necessity for these claims. The concern is if they've been providing services to patients or recipients who don't necessarily need it. If it's not medically necessary, then yes, it will affect their pocketbook. And so if you're receiving concerns about providers who are very concerned about their pocketbook, that's my concern.